Hello wonderful people of the internet, my name is Caroline Kihugu. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In case you're new here, welcome, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for always coming back and making this channel interactive. Today I have a visitor with me. He's not new to you or to many who are returning subscribers, but for the case of those who are new in this channel, let him introduce himself.
Good evening, Carol. My name is Joseph Roiro, CEO and founder of Best Train Consultants, also Best Train Forex Trainers. At Best Train Forex Trainers, this is where we cover everything Forex market, and for our topic today about shares, we also cover it through our company as Best Train Forex Trainers. Yes.
So he does cover Forex, shares, bonds, gold, and all that, but then our topic today is about shares. Let him explain to us what is shares.
Okay, maybe I can take it from you, Carol, for a moment. I don't know how much time you have, but the shares topic is wide. I'm going to talk about two types of markets. We have the most volatile market in the stock market in the world is the New York stock market, or the NYSE, and also Nasdaq is in that category for this scenario. Nasdaq is where you find shares for Tesla, Facebook, that is Meta, Alphabet, that is Google, Apple. You find shares for Microsoft, you find shares for all those technological companies that are leading us in the world. But the New York Stock Exchange, this way you find shares for big banks, or what we call traditional financial institutions. Banks like JP Morgan Chase, banks like Bank of America, Kina Coca-Cola, Kina Pepsi, those companies are listed in those. Even Jumia is also listed in the New York Securities Exchange. But for viewers who are in Kenya, we can trade in the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The Nairobi Securities Exchange is around 4th to 6th place in volatility in the African market. So we are not doing badly off, but we are also not doing that well. The Nairobi Securities Exchange has listed different companies. You can be able to go look at them. They are around over 60. Let me use that figure. They are over 60. The biggest chunk is in banking and finance, whereby you have banks like KCB, Equity, NCBA, DT Bank, and others. You also have what you call the service sector, where you have the national media, Standard Group, and others. You have energy, things like Total, Umeme, and those types of companies. So maybe talking about the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the shares portfolio is huge altogether, and you can always get daily updates. For you to be able to trade shares in Kenya, you need to be able to trade through a broker, a shares broker. They are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority, so you can always check with the Capital Markets Authority. For you to be able to start trading, you need what we call a CDSC account. That one can be opened at any bank. Then you're going to have to choose a broker. There are many. Most of the banks also have investment arms that can help you do that. So you can be able to open that bank with I think it's as low as 100, but to be safe, start with 1,000 or 3,000. That's a good amount. And you can trade virtually in shares in the market, from Safaricom to KCB to Umeme to things like Nairobi Business Ventures to things like manufacturing. You have a few companies in manufacturing. There are very many companies, over 60 companies that you can trade in here. So that is a shares market in Kenya, the stock market in Kenya. When you are buying shares, sometimes they need to make financial sense to you. Altogether, you don't necessarily have to trust that organization, but you can be able to trust the vision they have. That you can be able to even look at this information in the news. It's readily available. One of the best newspapers that can guide you when it comes to business matters is what we call the Business Daily Africa. It gives you up to date, specifically on business news. The rest of the news outlets, they mix with politics, they mix with other things, but you can be able to follow better news from the Business Daily. It's more updated when it comes to news. It's more updated, especially for the business side. You're able to know when these businesses are making financial moves, when they are doing ABCD. which can help you in investing in the stock market.
For those of you who would argue that reading newspaper is kind of outdated, these days people are reading newspapers on their phones. So what is your excuse?
Yeah, actually, to support you, Carol. Like, for example, I'm an advent reader of Business Daily. I make sure that in a day I have to go to the website. They even send meetings and what have you. And I read it online. And it really helps me make my decision. Okay. This is how I'm able to know that Safaricom Ethiopia just clicked 5.5 million, which is a major milestone for Safaricom. The other day there was a time in this year that the Safaricom share took a hit. I have some Safaricom shares, but when my friends were selling, I told them that I'm not going to sell because I know why I'm waiting. Mm-hmm. That brings me to why we buy shares. Mm-hmm. That brings me to why we buy shares. You can buy shares for speculation. That is where you buy and then you wait for the share to rise in price. But one thing you need to know about the Nairobi Securities Exchange is that it is not volatile enough for you to be able to buy shares and sell at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Maybe you are going to wait for maybe 1 week, 1 month, but at the end of the day, there are people who buy shares for speculation. Mm-hmm. It's a good method. You can be able to do that. Mm-hmm. You can also buy shares for holding and maybe having an ownership as a means of creating wealth. Let me use that word. Mm-hmm. Now, some of us buy for the second reason, some of us buy for the first reason. Mm-hmm. But shares in general provide a very good investment option. As long as you're able to research about the company, you can be able to see the company prospects. As I said, maybe to mention some of the few characteristics that you can look at. In my opinion, if you look at the Equity brand, the Equity brand has performed tremendously well over the years. They have been able to get into the insurance business as the Equity Group, which is listed. They have been able to get into the health sector. They are actively involved in the education sector, and they are the leading bank in East and Central Africa. So when you buy their shares and maybe hold, you can be able to gain returns in due time, because these people are making strategic investments that can be able to give you a better return on your money. There are more ways. Shares provides a way for you to be able to own that bank. You look at the guy who was called, I think, Mohoko. Mohoko was one of the largest shareholders in Equity. And he was able to earn a lot of money from that. Mm-hmm. Because you have to grow with the business. Right now, Equity is a big firm. Their shares trades above 40 shillings, which is a good amount. But take it. When buying shares, sometimes look at a company. If you can be able to buy when it's low, and maybe the company prospects are growing, you can be able to grow with it. Mm-hmm. And at that time, you can be able to experience growth of your money. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing you have to know is that when you sell your shares, you are taxed. There's an amount of money that you're taxed by the government, around 15%. I don't know come on to exempt, but there was a discussion that it should be exempted by the president when he rang the bell on the NSE. There was immediately after he was inaugurated, there was a time he rang the bell on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And they was talking about bringing on mama boda guys and what have you, and it's good, but you pay some taxes on your shares when you sell, when you convert your shares now into money. But shares also give you a means of earning dividends, and if you have a good number of shares, like the people who have a good number of shares in Equity, KCB, Standard Chartered, you find some of these banks are even paying at 10-15 shillings per share. If you have 1,000 shares, and they pay you at 15, that is 15,000. Pesa imekupata kwa nyumba kama hujachoka. Uliweka pesa yako pale na inakupea returns. So shares give you a better opportunity for you to invest. There are a wide range of shares that you can buy. You can visit the Nairobi Securities Exchange website, buy from there, see the amount of shares that you have. But remember that you need what we call a CSDC account. You also need a trusted broker who will buy the shares on your behalf and maybe transact them on your behalf. And you can also be able to invest on them periodically. Now, for the international market, that is NASDAQ mostly, there are a few apps here and there that can help you invest. Now, NASDAQ is more volatile than Nairobi Securities Exchange. It also has more options than Nairobi Securities Exchange because it has over 3,000 almost going to 4,000 listed companies. So you have the opportunity. But now remember, the shares in those companies are quite pricey. Are we together? The shares in those companies are quite pricey. You can also be able to keep in tabs on the performing of these companies, maybe from NSE to NASDAQ, through various websites online that help you track the performance of companies. You have My Stocks. My Stocks helps you track the performance of companies in the Nairobi Securities Exchange in Kenya. Also, we are expecting within the 5 years of the Kenya Kwanza government, we are expecting that the government, as they said, if they hold to that promise, that they are going to list at least 5 to ensure that 5 corporation parastatals are listed in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, which will also help us run more or have more chances to invest. If the government is able to show investors that it wants to invest in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, then private investors might also be willing to list their companies, because the president challenged the business and the Kenya private sector alliance that when he lists 5, he wants them to list 10. Are we together? Yeah. So he challenged the companies, so he put it as a challenge that where the government lists 5 corporations, then the private sector should be able to list them. And it can help us build our securities exchange, because this is the first front and the first door that investors check in. So to your subscribers, Carol, shares is a good way of investing. It's not complicated, it's not hard. You just need to have a few coins here and there. Invest in the stock market. There is a minimum 100 shares that you should buy, and that requirement is under review. But now let's go with what is available. Minimum is 100 shares of each company. You can start with Kenya Power, Safaricom, Equity, anywhere you want. 100 shares of maybe Safaricom, ama Kenya Power, ama Equity might go to 2,000, depending on the amount of shares that you're buying and the company that you're buying from. And the shares that you're going to buy, make sure that you know why you're buying. Are you buying for speculation that when the price goes up you sell? Or are you buying so that you can earn dividends? You can help the shares create wealth for you? Because shares create wealth for you. They are a way of wealth accumulation. So you have to make the decision. And it's very much easy. It's like opening a bank account to start trading shares. Yeah. Okay,
talking of earning money for you, at what point do you differentiate? At what point do you become an investor and not just a trader? What is the difference between a trader and an investor? Matters concerning shares.
Okay, what usually happens, to give you the layman's language, if you go to your local market, do you find investors or traders?
Traders.
That's the difference. Investors are people who are looking to earn the big bucks. They are looking for huge returns. They are not looking for today. So when you go to buy 1,000 shares, or maybe 1 million, and they are waiting for that major economic news, like what I've just told you about Safaricom. Safaricom just passed the 5 million mark subscribers in Safaricom Ethiopia. They are looking to have 2 million M-Pesa subscribers by March next year. What does that mean? Look at the success that M-Pesa has had on Kenya. Now remember, Safaricom is the largest shareholder for Safaricom Ethiopia. So it means ikigawiwa pesa yake, lazima itagawia shareholders wake wa Kenya. So if Safaricom Ethiopia does well, the share for Safaricom Kenya does well, and they are able even to pay better dividends. So if you want to become an investor, not just a trader, in a layman's terms, buy shares to wait for major information, wait for major growth, that you can be able to reap even from dividends, you can be able to reap from actual price changes, not just price changes due to inflation. Are we together?
Yeah, so does it mean that if I buy and hold to sell later with a goal, I'm an investor? And if I buy today, nonetheless, the amount of money I'm using to buy today and sell tomorrow, I'm a trader?
It depends on the amount of money. Let me say that, because now someone who is using 50 million to buy shares today, the moment they go buy today and they sell in the evening, maybe they have some inside information and they are looking to make that quick buck very fast before the market maybe closes or the market does something. And okay, let's not go to there, because we are young Kenyans and we are trying to build ourselves. Don't just buy 1,000 shares shares of 2,000 and then sell them the next day. No. Accumulate them over time. Maybe say per month I will be buying shares of 3,000 in company A. No. Then after 6 months I'm going to move to company B. Maybe invest in like 3 companies. Then you can keep on doing that and doing that and doing that. Because another thing that people don't know is that public listed companies, the shares of public listed companies can act as a guarantor for you. They can act as security when you want to acquire a loan. And now remember, this is a loan that is growing. Ukinunua gari na lose value ina kukost. Sindio? Shares zako, people like Elon Musk, people like these rich people in the world, they don't hold their money in liquid. They hold their money in stock. No. So these are investors. They invest in a company. Because what it necessarily means is, I've taken 1 million shillings, I've taken 100,000 shillings, I've invested in Safaricom. Why? Because I know Safaricom is going to do better things. Because I know Unga is going to do, Scan Group is going to do, Kenya Airways, all these companies, they are going to do better. You invest. The way you take your money and open a business, that makes you an investor. But if you just went and bought a few shoes today because they're on demand today and then you sold, you are just a trader or a broker. Now what you need to do with shares is identify who you are. Are we together?
Yeah.
Do you want to create wealth? Do you want to be able to create wealth? You can do that. Because if you dedicate 2,000 per month, we will be buying shares. I will be buying shares in company. By the end of the year, you have bought all these shares at different prices because the shares keep on fluctuating and going up and down. But at the end of the year, you have accumulated enough shares to be able to, you have accumulated as many as possible shares that you can. And maybe within a 3 to 4 year period, the company will have moved up. Look at the way the banks in Kenya are working. Just the other day, Equity was having, just around 2-3 years ago, Equity was not even in DRC. Right now, they are the second largest bank there, and they are almost overtaking the largest bank there. Look at Safaricom. It just invested in Ethiopia the other day, around 1 year ago. But now, they have 5 million subscribers, and they are investing heavily in marketing. So it means within the next 5 years, that company will have done wonders. Are we together? Maybe watakuwa move maybe to even another country. So you have to decide whether you are a trader or an investor.
And what Mr. Rero means by don't just invest, okay, like don't buy shares worth 2,000 today and expect to sell them tomorrow, because there's a lot that people do not account for. People do not account for the brokerage fee, which is charged when you're buying and when you're selling. So if you bought and sold your shares today without really accounting for that, then at the end of the day you might get a loss.
Yeah, you might actually get a loss. But the most important part, and my advice would be, if you're a young person looking to work to buy shares, don't be a trader, be an investor. No matter the amount of money right now, you might be using 1,000 per month. But instead of selling next month, wait for it. Accumulate. It's about consistency. It's about accumulation. By the time you are done 3 years, you find yourself with 50,000 shares. And you sit back and tell people, this is how I bought my shares. And they are wondering, how? Now if you have 50,000 shares and each share pays you at 3 shillings, that is 150,000. And maybe you collect this dividend for 4-5 months. You have even started recovering back your money. Are we together? The market is going nowhere. So take your time, invest in it. No matter the small amount that you want to invest in it, but invest as an investor. Go into the market as an investor, not a trader. That would be my advice to you, because the amount of money you'll be putting in is, as you said, the brokerage fees will take almost everything that you're going to get as profit. So you might even end up losing. But if you take your time in the market, you earn dividends. Dividend inakuja kwa banka, iendi kwa broker. This is your money now. Sindio?
Yeah.
But ukinunua hiyo broker tunacheza kula.
You talked about buying shares when they are low. At what point do you know that this is the right time to buy? Because like it's about since when? since last year, I think before election, when was that? I'm not so sure about the time, but since last year we've seen that the markets have not been doing so well for some time. And I thought, and I remember by the way buying shares where they were going low, but then I didn't know so much about shares and I bought when they are going low, but then instead they went even further down. So at what time do you know this is the best time to buy shares?
Okay, right now, because the Kenyan market is taking a hit, it's one of the best times to buy. Why is that? Because no matter how you feel politically, shares are usually driven by government agenda to a certain level. Because if the government tends to invest in a certain sector, you find a private investor is going to come in. Yes. So if you can be able to invest in those shares right now, when they are the lowest, are we together? These are profitable companies. They want to improve. So they are putting in measures in place to be able to improve their rank, their profitability levels and what have you. So this is the best time. The shares might go down, but remember you're not buying for the short period. You are buying for the long haul. You're buying for the long time. So you buy right now when maybe a share is at 10, 15 shillings, 20 shillings, and you let it accumulate over time. Give it a year, give it 2 years. When the economic perception of the country changes, so does your share. Because some of these companies are directly involved in what we do in our day-to-day life. Some of these companies are involved in providing us with electricity, providing us with fuel, providing us with different types of services and products. The government is looking to invest heavily in the manufacturing sector, in the construction industry. So if you go and buy shares for maybe something like ARM, Athi River Mining, inaweza kuwa chini sahi, but as they start constructing, watu watahitaji cement. And then the company profitability levels will go up. So the speculation about the prices of the share. So right now is actually one of the best time to buy, because we say buy when it's a bearish market, sell when it's a buyer's market.
Would you advise? Okay, I know we've talked about shares, but then we've just touched on a part of it, and I'm sure that was not enough to know which share to buy. So do you think that if anybody called or asked you to talk about shares, to educate them more on shares, would you guide them?
Yeah, we do that. We would guide you, because actually we have not even scratched. We have just tried to summarize the first topic. Let me say that the shares topic is huge. There are factors that you should look at. So if you want to know more about shares, you can maybe visit our offices at Thika Town, Naima Plaza, or call us via 0708 216 562. It's the same number you can use via WhatsApp. You can also get us through our Facebook page at Best Train Consultants, Twitter the same at Twitter at Best Train Consultants, and also Instagram at Best Train Consultants. You can also send us a WhatsApp message to the same number, and I'm going to repeat again, 0708 216 562. There is more and more about we need to know about shares. Somebody
asked, why would I invest in shares other than maybe just buy a car or maybe build a house? What are the benefits of investing in shares than investing in other things?
Okay, first of all, when you invest in shares, you actually own a piece of that company.
Okay.
So you are able to maybe attend general meetings and what have you. If that company grows, then your shares grow. But if you build a house, you are going to need maintenance, repair, at maybe after a few years or maybe after every month you need to pay for electricity. There is no bad or good investment when it comes to comparing them.
Okay.
You just have to make your choice. Now, shares are not for everyone. No. But for those who make a choice to invest, because you can't convince everyone to buy a vehicle, to buy shares.
True.
So you need to actually have to want it on yourself. You need to have an interest in it. You need to actually, I want to buy these shares. So you need to actually do that. So telling someone why they should buy shares, are they interested? That's the first question.
Okay.
Because we need to become truthful, as the DP says. We need to become truthful people. Are you interested? or do you want to just do it because your neighbor is doing it? Because at that point, if you are not interested, or even you don't have the slightest interest in that, then you might buy even the worst shares or the bad shares. So you need to start developing an interest. Then after the interest, then we can be able to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus, I also understand that with shares, he said before, with shares you can start with as low as 100 shares, depending on the kind of shares you want. That means if you are buying the KPLC shares, I think they are 1.45 by 100. That is around. It's actually less than 200 bob. So
actually, yes, it's you see, and you can be able to scale it up. And right now, Kenya Power might not seem profitable. But if you are keen on following what is happening in Parliament, looking at reducing the price of the IPP, independent power producers, the amount of money they sell power to Kenya Power, you can be able to notice that there is something going on behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, you can be able to take advantage of that. That's what we are talking about. Buying the shares when they are low and being able to take advantage of that. Imagine having 1,000 and owning almost 900 shares of a company. 1,000 unakula nyama siku moja inaisha.
Imagine. We are not saying that we should go and buy KPLC, but seeing somebody like Ndindi Nyoro owning being one of the biggest shareholders.
Actually, he is the largest shareholder.
Imagine, and the largest shareholder at KPLC right now, currently. And we know Ndindi Nyoro is very strategic. I'm sure he understands what is at stake here. And okay, at the end of the day, right now, KPLC is the only company providing us with power other than the solar and the like. But then anything concerning electricity, KPLC is the only. Am I right?
Yeah.
So
in supplying electricity.
Yes. So we are not saying you should go buy Safaricom or go buy KPLC.
Safaricom is currently doing at 15.20, and just the other month they were 25. I was actually purchasing some shares last week, and they have gone down. But I know I have the prospect they are going to come back. Are we together? Because why? Safaricom has just moved into Ethiopia. Ethiopia has a population of over 110 million people. It's the second most populated country, or has the second largest population in Africa, and among the top in the world. So, and Safaricom, as we know it, is a giant in marketing. They market and push for their product. Their success within 1 year is 5 million customers. They have good infrastructure. They have invested in infrastructure. And the Ethiopian market is going to prove to be a good thing for Safaricom, in my own opinion. So I'm still holding. I can actually buy some shares tomorrow.
For
Safaricom, yeah. Because I'm hopeful.
Okay, we will not tell you which shares to buy. Maybe if you bought let's say if you bought companies X shares and they are at 100 bob, while company Y is at 3 bob, then it means 100 times 3, that is around 300 shillings plus the broker's fee. You cannot buy a car with maybe 500 shillings. You cannot buy a piece of land with 1,000 shillings. So I believe one of the reasons as to why you should invest in stock or in shares is, other than having the interest to buy the shares, then they are kind of affordable and anybody can start as long as you have the will. Other than the house, or you have to have a lot of money to start investing. Am I right or wrong?
Very right, because as I said, you don't need a lot of money to start investing in the market.
And you can find this information online. Go to the NSE website. It's there.
You can also go to My Stocks if you have internet, mystocks.co.ke. Generally, there are various platforms where you can be able to access this information, because information is key.
Yeah.
Getting the information is key, and information is available. So maybe to finish the conversation on my side is that if you want to know more about shares, what we are talking about here is just the directions. But don't just go and buy. You need to be able to know what are my interests at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm interested in banking as or in the financial market. I'm also interested in the telecommunication market and a little bit in the energy market.
Okay.
But I can't go start buying shares of companies I'm not interested in because I want to be able to look at certain events. Are we together? And over 60 companies, that's also a good number to be able to look at it. So be keen on what your interests are. Then you can be able to narrow down on companies which you can be able to analyze company A, B, C, and know where are they moving as a company. What is their strategic plan for the next 5 years? Is this strategic plan going to improve their position? All those are factors to consider. All those are factors that we are going to help you understand more before you even get into the stock market. Yeah.
I hope this was beneficial, and if you still have some questions, kindly comment them below. And if you would like to have someone hold your hand and work with you in this journey of investing, Mr. Vero is there.
Best friend forex trainers.
Go call that number, talk to them.
As I repeat again, we are located in Thika Town, Neema Plaza, 3rd floor. You can call us via 0708 216 562. Don't shy away. Come, let's talk. Let's share the information about investing. Don't invest blindly. Thank you, Carol.
Till next time, bye.